This one. I watch your paper going. You have to rewrite your paper? Go quick.
Okay, do I go now? Am I ready? You guys
No, no,
ready?
you're asking too much of me.
No? Fair enough. Then I have my notes here.
Where are you? Don't hide. Good, you're ready, go ahead. Is the mouse up there?
Yes.
Let me move the mouse over, there we go.
My experience October surprise. It is not a flavorful dish. Is anyone confused? There we go. Okay, so what is it? So October surprise can refer to like it's like an American news media phenomenon where something huge happens in October for an election. That completely changes the course of it. For example, in 2016, the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails was dubbed an October surprise. In 2024, so many things are going on that essentially everything that happened in October was dubbed an October surprise, even though not many things ended up influencing the overall election. However, this isn't the conspiracy. This is what the conspiracy evolved into. The real conspiracy starts back in 1980, the presidential election between Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter. During the time, so with the Iranian hostage crisis in the background, Reagan's campaign manager, William Casey, voiced concerns of the hostages being released right before election. Wait, no. Yes, no. Gosh, notes. So the Reagan campaign voiced concerns of the hostages being released in the October before the election as an October surprise, so giving Jimmy Carter a huge boost in the polls. What actually happened, this never came to pass. In actuality, the hostages were released 5 minutes after Reagan's inauguration. This is where the real conspiracy begins. Wait, can I go back?
Yeah, just
No. Okay. That's a picture of Reagan rubbing Abraham Lincoln's nose. Part of his campaign was he was known for being honest, and so that's honest Abe. I thought it was fun, so I put it in. Okay, now we can go. So here's the conspiracy claim for October surprise. So William Casey, the former CIA chief and head of the CIA, not head of CIA, former CIA chief and head of Reagan's campaign, scuttled the hostage negotiations in order to aid Reagan in winning the presidency, essentially. And that's Reagan at his inauguration. So this is this conspiracy that people were thinking at the time. In exchange for weapons. So just for background, this is the Iranian hostage crisis, for some context. So in 1953, there 1953 US CIA, in order to protect oil interests, overthrew the democratically elected regime because they were moving away from the US and instituted a new regime. And then in 1973, there was the Islamic revolt, so casting out the Shah that the US put in power. And the resulting power vacuum was filled in by Ayatollah Khomeini, thank you. So the strict Islamic fundamentalist. And so in 1979, Carter allowed the exiled Shah, who was at the time residing in Mexico, into the US for cancer treatment, which infuriated Iranians. And then at 10 a.m., October 1979, that same year, students called the Muslim students following the line of Imam, so followers of Khomeini, took over the US embassy in Tehran and held over 50 people hostage. And they would remain there for 444 days. So this is Iran students burning American flag at the embassy, and these are American prisoners. And then that is a countdown in New York. Mark, I think in the Brooklyn Bridge, counting up the days they've been held as captivity. So So over time, America's approval of Carter dropped dramatically, partly due to his inability to bring the hostages home. There was an attempted military operation to extract the hostages called Operation Eagle Claw. This, however, failed drastically due to weather patterns, and it just kind of blew up in their face. So he, at the time, he reached the lowest presidential approval rating in the history of people keeping track of presidential approval ratings, which was 40 years. And there was a lot going on. The energy crisis, but it wasn't looking good for him. And then in September, Iraq invaded Iran, sparking the Iran-Iraq War. Carter continued to work on the hostages. He lost the election, but he continued to work on bringing home the hostages after he lost. Reagan won in a landslide. And the hostage crisis was ultimately resolved through imposing economic sanctions. Read this. And then working with the post-revolutionary Iran government, that was a little bit more open to working with the US. And then Iran was so fatigued from the war they just fought with Iraq, that it eventually led to liberation hostages. That is Jimmy Carter working with, I think, Henry Kissinger.
That's his vice president.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so at the time there's a conspiracy that the idea floating around or the accusation that the head of Reagan's campaign, William Casey, reached out to Iranian to sabotage the hostage negotiations. It doesn't become that strong until this happens. The Iran-Contra affair, which was so again, some speculation existed, but it renewed. So during this time, there's a conflict in Nicaragua between the Contras and the Sandinistas, with the anti-communist Contras trying to overthrow the Marxist Sandinista government in Nicaragua. U.S. got itself involved with the domino theory still going on. Reagan was particularly devoted to this cause. He once described it, he once compared it to the struggle of the founding fathers. So very devoted. And then Democrats prevented any U.S. defense or CIA operation in Nicaragua through the Bull Amendment, eventually making it so strong that was almost impossible to aid the Contra cause. Then, in 1985, Iran made secret weapons requests to the U.S. In exchange for American hostages. There were 9 of them who were being held in Lebanon. So this deal occurred. That person, Oliver North, was the person who approved it and made the deal. And over 1,500 missiles were shipped. And it all came out through a Lebanese newspaper called Al Shira, published an expose on the affair. Reagan denied it to the American public, but then he took back his statement. And then it was revealed when they looked into the affair, the money for the weapons was partially missing. And so it revealed that the money had been diverted toward the Contras against the congressional bill. And so there was investigations. North admitted that he thought he was acting on the unspoken blessing of the president. However, there wasn't enough evidence to directly link Reagan to the affair. although the ultimate, it was admitting that how Reagan had been conducting the White House allowed for the affair to occur. Very, very, very tenuous innocence and guilt. So this happened, and it kind of it it lent idea to the theory. Oh wait, so this is kind of similar. Maybe this really did happen. Maybe the 1980 election was sabotage. And so all of this comes. The theory really takes hold in the early 1990s. I'm missing a. Okay. On the 19, I'm missing a no. So a former Iran operation officer named Gary Sick came out with an expose in the New York Times. That's a picture of it right there. On the election story of the decade, talking about how secret meetings happened and sabotage the election during his time in Iran. There was accusations of Republicans meeting in secret meetings in Paris with Iranian officials, and like George Bush was part of it. It was all a big conspiracy. And then he wrote a book called October Surprise: American Hostages in Iran, Election about Reagan. And then a Frontline documentary came out, which brought the whole affair to the mind of the American public. And there was article after article came out. And so eventually Congress investigates. The initial investigation lasts for about 8 months. And the ultimate like resolution is, quote, not a great weight of evidence. So it's not some stuff there, but it's not enough to support the hard theory that William Casey reached out to Iran and exchange weapons in exchange for hostages. So not enough evidence. However, it was revealed that William Casey had quote, probably conducted informed, clandestine, so secret, and potentially dangerous efforts, end quote, to monitor the negotiations, which makes sense because the Reagan campaign was very worried about Jimmy Carter getting a boost in the election because the hostages being released, a lot of good press. So eventually, it wasn't enough. So they created a bipartisan task force to investigate the issue, with like a $1.35 million budget, which is a lot more intense. It lasts about 10 months, so tens of thousands of documents, over 230 interviews, very deep, very intensive. And all because all of the people involved, many of them were public figures. The Shah had a claim of Bush meeting with George Bush in Paris. However, because of the campaign, all the media, all their movements were very well followed and very well tracked. And so upon cross-examination, the evidence they had dug up and the theories just fell away under cross-examination. Also, people who had testified in favor of the conspiracy eventually took it all back. So they went back on their statements. And so that was settling. Okay.
There we go.
So my opinion. I can see why this was a big conspiracy theory. I didn't have a very good background on the Iran hostage negotiations or the election in 1980. Then just reading about it, I was like, yeah, I can see why this would be, because there's precedents. Like we all learned about the Nixon. Like we have precedents of an American political campaign sabotaging global affairs in order to get a boost in that November's election. We had it with Nixon. And like, you don't you don't know much, like I certainly didn't know much about it, it seemed like, okay, I can see what's happening. Um, and then when you have the Iran-Contra affair, it changes your view, like, oh, this was a very similar thing that happened, so trading weapons for hostages, so maybe it did happen. Um, but ultimately, because of their honest the congressional investigations, probably not. Gary Sick is still holding on to the conspiracy. More power to him. But no, my opinion, probably not that exact theory. Were there shading dealings? I'm not sure. It wouldn't surprise me. But the idea that William Casey reached out to Iran and successfully promised weapons in exchange for a delayed list of hostages, probably not. So, thank you.
Any questions? Any questions? All right, good job. Yeah, you went a lot of detail on that. I mean, that was a tough one. You had to go back to the Iran-Iraq war and.
Well, because I didn't know much about it, and so like I had to relearn. I had to learn what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, go back and review yourself. All right, good job. One more time. Yeah. So like that one, like William Casey's a good one. Iran-Contra, the election, 1980 election. The rabbit. And don't forget, in 2016, that, they didn't mention, the thing about Hillary Clinton's emails, that came out front page news in New York Times back when there was newspapers still mattered. And it's kind of sad, but that was probably really important for losing the election.
That was the last true October surprise, as people say. Because it was the last big thing that happened in October that completely changed the election trajectory.
That's a good example. And there's only one thing we can do after that to prove that clearly everything Fiona said was wrong. Because the CIA was behind it through secret operations. We need MK Ultra.
Oh, another interesting thing. So Gary Sick was part of the Jimmy Carter campaign at one point.
He was what?
He was part of the Jimmy Carter campaign.
Oh, so he
that is, yeah.
Yeah, he had a resentment there built up. Wait, where'd you go? They've caught
That's part
us.
of the cover up.
Ah!
So yeah, I did MK Ultra. It's by me, obviously.
You weren't gonna keep
No, Sydney was. Okay, whatever. So the contents of what this has, we'll go through the origins, the testing, the outcome, impact, and then my take of it. But very briefly, what happened, or what they said happened, is that during the 50s and 60s, the CIA was conducting experiments on American people and POWs, giving them a truth serum to somehow create a sort of mind control. Okay. So the
You want me to go back?
oh, it's good.
You sure?
Good. So this happened after World War II. It was also during the Cold War. And as we all know, during the Cold War, tensions are very high. People aren't focusing on the morals of what they are doing and are more worried about how they can just get ahead. And so the CIA and Truman at the time thought that possibly the Soviets and Chinese had created a sort of mind control psychological thing, and they were all convinced that this has happened and they need to catch up with the Soviets. And so Truman worries, and he gives the CIA the go ahead to start a project that he's called Project Bluebird. Project Bluebird was the very start of the testing. It wasn't super in depth, but as it goes on, it gets quite a bit more intense. So they wanted to find ways to like erase memories, control the body, and the way it came about, and this thinking of why the USSR had it in the first place, is that during World War II, there was a lot of psychological and chemical experimentation done on concentration camps, and a lot of the scientific backing for this came from that as well. And so they were thinking that the Nazis clearly had been doing this, and that means that clearly something is going on. And so that means that the Soviets were definitely doing that as well. And so now we need to get ahead and somehow figure out mind control before they can. But the people heading it were the Director of Central Intelligence, Alan W. Dulles, from 1953 to 1961. The Chief Chemist was Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, and the supervising officer who comes in later is Richard Helms. That's a picture of Sidney Gottlieb, the public. So it had many different names depending on the upping of intensity. So the first name with Truman was Project Bluebird, and then it turned to Operation Artichoke after they started adding hypnosis and forced drug use into the operation. And then it changed to MK Ultra when Dulles brought in Sidney Gottlieb to help test with LSD and such. And then it turned to MK Search when they closed down the project and just stuck to like smaller side projects. It was also the time that Richard Helms came in and was dealing with that. Testing. So what they did. Why testing was conducted, the objective, control and alter human behavior, truth serums, erase or implant memories, and create like super soldiers and sleeper agents. That's where a lot of those terms came from. And then the scientific foundations, like I already said, was the Nazi research. And then the US had imported a lot of access scientists during Operation Paperclip, which no one did. But Operation Paperclip was basically just taking a bunch of scientists, bringing them to the US and having them work on their projects instead of helping out the Nazis. Yes. So the methods, like I said, there was a truth serum which had LSD, amphetamines, mescaline, and there are a lot of psychedelics, electroshock therapy, hypnosis, and sensory deprivation. All very fun, scary things.
I gotta tell you for LSD.
Oh yeah. Here we go. This is my favorite part. Sidney Gottlieb buys world supply of LSD for $240,000. So he buys the world supply of LSD. He only buys it after he tried it for the first time and thought that this would make a great truth serum, which I think tells you all you need to know about Sidney Gottlieb. But yes, he then takes the sort of makeup of LSD and gives it to Eli and Lilly Company. They produce LSD just for him, and then he distributed it to over 149 different places. This was universities, hospitals, prisons, concentration camps, everywhere. Some notable universities were Princeton, MIT, Harvard, Montana State College. So it went everywhere, and no one was told of what it was for. It was done under like charitable donations for different sort of helpful methods to different illnesses, which, as you can already see, not great, because they would give it to prisoners, terminal cancer patients, sex workers, college students, literally anyone they could get their hands on to give LSD, they gave LSD to. But yes. Oh yes, he said, quote unquote, people who cannot fight back is who they decided to give it to. Which, you know, not a great crime. But the outcome, what happened because of it? Some court cases were Dr. Ewan Cameron in Montreal. He was funded by the CIA. They used high dose of electroshock, drug-induced comas, and psychic driving, which is basically just playing the same sound over and over and over again until you go insane. And then Operation Midnight Climax was they were in CIA safe houses in San Francisco, and they would give prostitutes LSD to seduce men with, give them LSD, and then the CIA operatives would watch through a one-way mirror of what would happen when the people were on LSD. So, you know, we're already seeing where this is heading. It was terminated eventually, scaled down. It was fully shut down in 1973 when it ended as MK Search. It was rediscovered in 1977. But Richard Helms, the guy I mentioned earlier, he was the one who started the shutdown because of the internal conflict that this was causing, and people were feeling pretty bad about giving terminal cancer patients LSD to say that it would help them, and then also just giving it to random people off the street and watching them. But he orders the destruction of every document that has to do with this. But 20,000 documents survive. And when it comes out in, yeah, what did that lead to? But it's exposed after Watergate, obviously, because everything leads back to Nixon. But with Watergate and all that happening, people were really concerned about what the CIA was doing. And so through the Church Committee of 1975 and Senate hearings in 1977, we see the abuses of it. Some of the really important ones that people were uncovered were the Frank Olson case. He was a scientist that worked directly with MK Ultra, and they were giving him the drug. He didn't know what was going on, but he eventually died from mysterious circumstances. And his family did receive settlements after his death, but it prompted a lot of major intelligence oversight reforms because none of this was at all moral. It strengthened the Freedom of Information Act. It added the new rules, and it led to so many other conspiracies and so much government distrust. In conclusion, the government, it showed how far the government was willing to go in times of crisis, and it exposed the severe human rights violations and made people question scientific ethics. People did not trust, for obvious reasons, after this, because it was given to hospitals and people who were supposed to help you, and then universities, the place you're supposed to get your education, and that's all you're supposed to be focused on. But now there's a possibility that you could be drugged with LSD. And it's a constant reminder of how people need to keep the government accountable and how they should be acting. This was a quote from the Church Committee. If a director ever took charge in this country, the technological dictator, not director, ever took charge in this country, the technological capacity that the intelligence community has given the government could enable it to impose total tyranny, and there would be no way to fight back. And just having that as a quote for how all of this at once was going with MK Ultra, Watergate, the government not being open and acting how they should be, and just hiding things from the general public. It gave people a lot of fears, especially during the Cold War era. People are already on edge. But my personal take, and what do I think of it? I would say that while a lot of it, it's a perfect image. But I think MK Ultra was obviously a horrible thing that shouldn't have happened, but it did lead to people understanding what the government could do and was doing. So it allowed for a lot more government oversight and a lot more reforms. It also allowed people to question scientific ethics and how scientific research should be conducted. It also allowed for a lot of fun, like movie bits, like the Winter Soldier from from Marvel, and just having a lot more of these sleeper agents, these undercover individuals that act without reason, are fully controlled by the government. And just the media taking it to the correct degree, it caused so much scandal. People were in shock and awe. But I think that MK Ultra definitely did happen, and that it definitely paved the way for a lot of how scientific research is conducted now, and a lot more of what we hear from the government.
So you're saying there are sleeper agents all over the country, ready to, at the moment's notice,
Yeah,
controlled by the CIA?
they said that they couldn't find the thing for mind control. I think they're wrong. I think they did, and that's why they ended the project.
Thank you for saying that on film.
Yeah.
Any questions? Did you learn about any people that were on it? Did you catch any names of?
Ted Kaczynski,
Yep.
he was on it.
Yep, that's thinking.
People did think that that was the reason that he became the Unabomber. It was not. He's just like that.
It certainly helped.
Yeah, I don't think the sensory deprivation and being on LSD helped anything, but I definitely don't think it was the cause for why he did that. And also talked about the Grateful Dead a lot because, you know, LSD and 70s, that perfect combination to talk about the Grateful Dead.
They didn't need to see it.
No, they had enough LSD on their own.
And one of the most famous gangsters, Whitey Bulger, was one of the best. Yeah, no, there's a bunch of them.
Oh, and if you're ever wondering why they didn't use like cocaine or meth or anything, it's because Sidney Gottlieb tried that as well and didn't think it would work as well. And so that's why they used the LSD. And then they also would sometimes use alcohol on occasion to have them drunk and incredibly high.
Seems perfectly moral to me. Okay.
That's it.
Any questions? Good job. I had someone get very mad at me when I tried to say that, he tried to tell me that Sirhan Sirhan assassinated Robert Kennedy was from MK Ultra. Guys, I don't think there's any evidence. He got really mad at me. You're part of the problem. I'm like, the problem is I'm here.
You were on the team.
So last year I did, so I'm trying to decide what movie I want to show for conspiracies.
You can
And
go
we
MK
watched this amazingly good movie called The Manchurian Candidate last year, and I'm trying to decide if I want to show it this year. It's
We should watch MK Ultra. I haven't watched it.
who is gonna go? Who else is gonna go today? Do you have your turners in?
Yeah.
Okay. We can do it.
You guys will wait.
Yeah,
I'm a little short.
the thing is, these are very good presentations and everyone's really well prepared, so these are great. I'd rather, one thing, this class is not that big, a little smaller than last year, which is, it gives you a little more time to talk.
I do have 5G.
You're 8 days late, so that's 800% off.
Okay. Easy.
Yeah, even if I'm excited.
It's coming.
It's 5G. It was really hard to get information.
Here we go.
Yeah, so this is 5G, the mark of the devil. And yeah, basically. So yeah, period of time, it's 2020. World everyone's like has terror, everyone's scared. And people just want to voice their concerns on the internet. Because why not? Vaccines. Basically, there's microchips in it. And well, before that, people thought they caused autism. Because of a guy who just like did a test with 11 people. And the kids already all had autism, and they gave them vaccines, and was like, oh, I guess so. Guess we have autism now. Yeah, Tylenol, yeah. But how they want, and the reason why they put the microchips in there is because they want to track us, obviously. They want to sell our information to a little known man. Oh wait, no, wait, I'm not getting to him yet. Wait, you'll see, you'll see. But yeah, people are terrified. They don't. This is what the vaccines are doing to our children and the 5G towers. The 5G towers are where that's their control center. That's where they track us. That's the main location. And don't like the control center. Don't like the 5G towers. Don't trust it. They basically spread radiation, and that's what's happening to that kid right there. Yeah. One of my favorite images of all time. Yeah, and basically who's controlling it, who's all behind this. Oh, if I can get the Bill Gates. Bill Gates caused this. He wants to sell our information to the government, who's also behind this. It's is what they're saying basically. The people of the internet, with their amazing theories. We love their theories. Big fan of their theories. They're right. They're all right. And yeah, and he also caused this again. Like he did it twice. 1 second. It's loading. It's loading. He caused that. He's the rabbit actor. But on a more serious note, the impact of this, basically, there was like a day, I can't remember, I don't have it in my notes, but that around the world, people just like went to raid 5G towers and just like committed arson. About 4 people died due to this, and like 6 in the UK alone, 50 cell towers were burned. So a lot of property damage, and also not just this alone, but more lasting impact. In 2021 alone, 40 out of 100 children died to a preventable disease that could have been prevented by vaccines. So that's kind of what it's led. Yeah, just people thought the vaccines had the microchips, and thought just like, yeah, just radiation. Yeah. And they were trying to protect their kids, but yeah, my thoughts, they're just stupid. People just get scared. It happens. And it's funny to see that sometimes, but it is very disheartening to see people thinking that they're protecting their kids, but just end up hurting them instead. Yeah, and that was fun. 5G.
Hey, one thing real quick.
Yeah.
So what exactly is the 5G, all the issues with 5G? What exactly are what do the people believe in a conspiracy think about what the 5G is?
They believe it's causing radiation, tracking them, and just, yeah,
And it's connected to the vaccines because the
because of the microchips.
microchips are rich, okay.
Yeah,
And it's doing it.
and it's obviously doing that. Bill Gates, the reptoid, is obviously doing that. He's the one that put the microchips in the vaccines.
Yeah, that's when you kind of tied into vaccines, because vaccines alone could be a huge conspiracy.
Mhm.
Any questions? So should we go take down a 5G tower? No. So we will watch a movie. We might do Manchurian Candidate. It is a fantastic movie. It is so good.
I missed.
And yeah, it's it's a perfect conspiracy movie. I like, if you like to show some kind of movie, if it works out enough, you know, like when we do gaming, we're gonna watch something on the 1919 White Sox. Gambling. So you always got something going here. I don't think we have time. Well, we could start one and then go halfway. Anybody want to go halfway? Want to start? Okay, good. I got your relation. Just give me 1 sec. Maybe. Perfect. Give me 1 sec. Go.
So my conspiracy was the Los Angeles Olympic line. I'm gonna start out with my opinion on this because I just figured it would be a good place. I believe that people should have been less willful about their opinions because people were confusing themselves when they started talking about it, and the company that caused this got confused and they were taken to court, and then after they were taken to court, people confused them by saying what they thought happened, and then that what they thought happened really didn't happen. So if people would have just spoken less and not came forward with their full opinion and only came forward with part of their opinion, this probably could have been something that was a little bit more preventable, aside from the part that the people were found guilty and were convicted of the crime. So, streetcars were the most popular used vehicle a long time ago, and they went extinct because of a company gone by the name of General Motors.
So the red line was the streetcar.
Yeah.
Okay.
General Motors was a publicly traded corporation. It was not owned by one certain person or an individual, nor was it only one person that started it. Multiple people started the company. They were taken to court in 1949 and proven guilty of the conspiracy. So there was an animated film that was based off of the real thing, and they actually really didn't change a lot about the conspiracy theory. They just animated it and made it seem more comical, I guess you could say, even though it was a real serious thing. It came out several years after the actual conspiracy took place, because the producer of the movie was scared to put the movie out because they weren't sure what people were gonna say. And I don't know why, but they thought that they were going to get sued for some of the stuff that was said in the movie. General Motors, after everything happened, the LA population, like people, thought that the electric streetcars were more sanitary and cheaper to run and comfortable and faster. They thought that they benefited the environment more. Obviously, gases can be put into the air from the fumes that come out of the car. They also thought that electric streetcars were safer, which is arguable because electric streetcars and streetcars both have their dangers. Both of them can get in crashes. The one thing that I found interesting about that is that electric streetcars can break down, and regular streetcars can't really break down. The only way they could break down is if like the horse stopped running or something, or they like lost a wheel, which that was really rare. So I didn't really get that part. But the environment did change significantly after they switched to the electric running vehicles, because a lot more people moved to LA. I think that might be the picture, but it's not. Just kidding. So we're gonna say the LA population grew from under 200,000 in 1900 to over 200 to over 2 million people in 1930. And that was a significant change because the environment had more like pollution, and there was more trash everywhere. And then there were more hazards in the roads because they had to be fixed more constantly, and there were a lot more people on the roads, obviously. But Ethan Alpine, I think is how you would say his last name, investigated this conspiracy. And he was the main person that gave all the opinions and everything, like all the quotes that were used in like magazines and things like that. Most all of them came from him. He was the person that said that the climate would be benefited more from the start of the use of electric street cars. He gave the most knowledge to get to the conspiracy because after he started being vocal and giving his opinions, everyone kind of stopped giving theirs because they realized that he was more trustworthy and more believable because he was on the site and seeing all the sources from everything that had went through. Oh, so he had said a quote that it's less of a conspiracy against the public and more of a public failure to anticipate the smog exactly future. Because to him, the public opinions had made everything appear to be different than what had really been seen. And he just thought that the public had failed because he didn't think that they gave enough like imagination into it and that they didn't really believe that it was happening at the start because obviously they were used to just manually operated things and them having to just sit in back not doing anything. But when they actually started having to drive, they really didn't know what to think of the world.
Let's stop right there and then we'll finish the rest of this tomorrow. Sound good? I'll put a little, okay, mini vlog for halfway through. We'll finish it tomorrow. Thank you, Lisa, for stepping up right there, and then we'll finish it tomorrow, and then Myra going next. And then who's got for that? Okay, and then who? Okay, perfect. Okay, and then Cassidy, and then anybody else, we'll finish on Thursday. Nice job, great presentations again. And I have to make sure I save this spot. All right. Couple things we'll clarify, be good job. You might get in the light, I'll trade you. It were great assets. I know you guys were kind of looking forward to that, thinking about it. Huh?
So we get married.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
No big deal.
Let's take my notes, my note cards.
Ooh,
Oh, I should be my notes.
very good. Yep, and then,
Mine are.
and then take a couple seconds, you know what you're doing. Nice job.
You love David Owens. Zarnowski brought in Cable Trump during. Oh, yeah, I know about that. We started talking about, yeah, the thing of Vince Fiona's presentation too.
What?
October Surprise,
Yeah.
yeah, well, not October Surprise
They were on
specifically,
Contra?
but yeah, he brought up, not their own country, but like the whole
In 1911.
part, yeah, and like the whole part, yeah.
Oh, well,
Very topical today.
very topical. Oh, beautiful. See, you wrote very small. You got it all in there. So it's interesting when you get in front of people who do eye systems.
They
I
really
do,
do.
I know, I get it.
But no, oh, it feels so dark.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about
I
that, yeah.
understand why you slam your mouth.
Oh, yeah, it's so aggravating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this, you need a keypad, mouth pad.
And I did have one of those little things you can't click, and I think went down the hallway. Everybody grab one of these.
So do
Make sure you put your name, see tomorrow. Good job, very good job.
No.
Well, I think, yeah, you guys, you look through that, because I just typed that really quick, remember, I just typed that really quick, the thing on here. Everyone grab one, put your name on it.
Capitals.
You'll need a few sheets of paper.
The grade 8 kids.
You need one to do your brainstorm outlining pieces, and then your essay.
Grade 8. Oh, the grade 8. Actually, yeah, you can.
And can you give me another one?
I think yours is- it's not today. It's not today.
Did he?
Yes.
I lied. I'm
What?
not.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, River,
Everyone's around one.
Jack William Tobin was upset.
Oh, and take out that sheet I told you to have, I was gonna give you some credit for. Oh, it down me in the back. All right. Take that, let me see this real quick. Take this out too. I'll try to give you a little bit of credit if you haven't done. Yeah, just have it out, study it. I'm just gonna walk through. And as long as you have it, like I said, I'm not making a big deal. I'm just grading that you did the study. That's all I'm doing.
Look at how tiny it is. Can you have fun? No, you need to. No, we don't. You didn't do the extra print for this.
I know, but they're. I like.
They always.
Have it.
Hey. They got rid of two of them.
What's it good, yeah?
The last guy.
Yeah, it's.
You think I should get some extra credit? Doing the extra.
I'll talk to my people. Have yours?
I feel like I still.
Sure to be small. Sound good? I believe you. Just show me mine.
I agree with Nate overall. I've seen during seventh, I'd have to go.
I didn't see your. All right, so there is one little, first thing, you gotta do brainstorm outline of thesis, just one word, one or two words. For everything you're outlining, except for read it, write your thesis, make sure you have that down. And then there is one quirk for my long essays. Makes it easier to grade, and so the ink doesn't go through and everything, I hate it on long essays, having on both sides of the sheet. So only have to write on one side, you got as many sheets as you want, but only write on one side, it just makes it easier. If you need paper, I have paper. Huh? No, pen or paper. I write.
That's so funny.
Jack said I'm one racist. No, they said on what they say. Please refer to color.
Yeah, because you're right.
I would say,
Isn't your
usually, once you go down on
color, and they still give me the win.
They still gave them the win.
There are people before.
If you have to make handwriting, you know, grab another sheet, it's not a big deal.
Introduce one of our practices. By the way, guys, say people of color instead of color.
What do you need?
Okay, Jack, how do we just call you the person?
Yeah. Did everyone grab one of these? Put your name on it, just, and then what we'll do is, when you turn it in, you put that on top, outlines, and that's it. So, guidelines, outline, lesson. Are there any questions? I'll give you one last minute to quick look through, quick brainstorm, thesis, outline. Yes, lesson. Give me a second. You put, okay, put that sheet away and begin. Because you're ready to roll.
Mr. Parker, would you restate the full prompts?
Say it again. Oh, I'll put it up right now. I'm putting the prompt up. We just have the presentation for special topics. Just give me a second. Here we go. Prompts up. A couple things up here, remember underlying thesis, don't forget context, a few sentences for your thesis. Related examples to your thesis, topic sentence, and the closing, connect back to your thesis. Everything's connect back to